And you're on.
Good morning, everybody. Man, this microphone's way better than mine. Man, I always thought Christy was yelling at me. This thing's just way better. Good morning, everybody. I'm very excited to have on our special guest today. You guys all know him from ProFit Kitchen. We're going to meet the man behind ProFit Kitchen today, Eric Fox.
Wow.
Welcome aboard, sir. Pleasure to have you.
Thanks,
Welcome,
Shane.
Eric.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Very excited to talk about, I think I'm like a lot of people where I met the finished product, so to speak. Not that we're ever a finished product, but
Right.
I met the guy who ran ProFit Kitchen.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to figure out how you got here. So
Gotcha.
Let's talk a little bit about what you got going on now. I know you just were telling me you got 2 new locations popping up. We
Yeah.
just did a ribbon cutting or a what would you call that?
I can't
shovel-
call it, shovel.
A
breaking
shoveling
ground.
with the chamber the other day,
Yep.
that was very exciting. Then find out you got one going up in Kingman too.
Yeah. So definitely, we're super excited about it, and just the fact that we're able to expand so quick. And again, I just want to keep moving, and it was already the game plan to open up at least 20 of these when I stepped into it. So yeah, the one out in Fort Mojave is coming along nice. They start putting in the walls this week, and the one in Kingman is right off of Stockton and Beverly, and it's already built, and we're doing tenant improvements. And
So I was just up in Kingman, Mojave Valley Little League, who won. Congratulations, Mojave Valley Little League last night. So I think they won their district, and they're going to go to state. So that's super cool.
Congrats!
And boy, that area on Stockton is just booming.
It is. It's huge.
And especially like some of the older parts that have typically been busier or not, and whether you're up there where it's
Right.
kind of expanding into that area. Really fun little opportunity up
It
there.
is,
Yeah.
and I think we're right in the sweet spot of Kingman, because if you live in Kingman, no one likes to drive down Stockton, right? Because it's just crazy.
I don't live in Kingman, and I don't like driving down Stockton.
Right.
So.
So we're right off of Stockton before you even get 10 feet, right? We're right on
Yeah.
Beverly, so we're sandwiched between the hospital, the park, and 3 schools, and I couldn't have picked a better place.
Yeah, man, that's awesome.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
fantastic. So
Yep.
I see you brought some stuff for us today. What all do you have here?
Well, a couple things I just wanted to show off. It goes in hand with ProFit Kitchen, and I'll get into a little bit about how that came about. But we want to be the one-stop shop. Like if you come in there, we want to be able to take care of your needs with protein, fitness, food, beverage, the whole gamut, right? So some of the things that we do, like we have a national magazine, right, that we have, and it comes out the first of the month every month now, and it talks about different things,
That's cool.
Like hair loss?
right? This is one of them this year.
Fortunately, we don't have to
throw
talk
that
about
out.
that
Thank
today.
God, thank God. But there's a lot of great things in here for people to read about. And as we go along, some of the products that we use and some of the partners we partnered with is like Nutra-One. Nutra-One is one of the largest supplement
Yeah.
providers in the U.S.
High quality ingredients.
We're the only restaurant under their profile.
Nice.
I don't know if anyone's ever seen Egg Whites International. It's
Oh, I know someone who has.
right.
So I'm going to tell you my Egg Whites International
Okay.
story while you're talking about it. So it's a great product. You can just
It
add
is.
it right into your protein shake.
Yep.
A lot of things. It's just straight egg whites. You want to cook with it, do whatever. The company actually, I believe they purify it. They put it through a
Yeah.
process. Really, really good product. But if you add it to, I used to take that Muscle Farm, it was like cake batter protein.
Oh yeah. Oh,
And you
God.
put a little bit of that in there, it's like you're eating the cake batter right off the little spatula.
Oh, wow.
And so that appeased the fat guy in me and the fitness guy in me. So
I love it.
Really, really good.
Everyone
good
run out and
product.
get cake batter. We got to get that.
Yeah.
Elite. Very
Right?
elite.
Yeah, but what's great is it's like drinking coconut water.
Yeah.
It doesn't have the texture of egg whites. The number one people that buy this is usually parents, because what they do is they put a couple squirts in their kids' Fruit Loops or cereal. They never even notice,
Yeah.
and then they get like 7 grams of protein.
And egg protein is one of the best proteins there is. So
It's 100% clean like that, so which is great. And then the other one that we do here, by the way, I brought you this. I expected Christy to be here, so I got you a pink wristband and a shaker cup.
we'll
Oh,
make,
Shane,
we'll
you
make
can
sure
wear
this.
that.
Yeah, this is beautiful. It brings out my eyes. It's
Right?
great. Yeah, this is a
And-
really nice shaker too.
Yeah, one of the great things about our shaker cup is if you bring this in, you get 10% off your drink every single time. So why wouldn't you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. We'll put that right front. Oh, it's too far right there.
Yeah, and then again, we also partner with Six Pack Fitness. So I've had one of these bags for about 5 years myself as I would commute back and forth from Vegas. We would have this, and it's perfect for keeping all your food cold or hot or whatever, and for hours at a time. But it's a great product, and again, I want to be the one-stop shop to take care of all everybody's needs.
Those are trays in there, right?
Yeah,
so
those
this
are
is like
meal
ancient
prep.
history,
Pull out a
but
tray. Show them how the trays go in
so
there.
typically if you meal prep, you prepackage your foods, measure it out, and you throw it in a container.
That's cool.
Containers pop right in.
Boom.
Typically eaten 3 to 5 times a day.
Yep.
With a little shake somewhere in there. Not me anymore. I just had French toast
Uh-huh.
over at so that'll last me for a while. But I think one of the biggest things, and you could probably test this more than anyone, is that it's so hard to find the time, fit the food in, eat right on the road, and that helps you prepare and fix some of those biggest issues.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, I've talked at a couple different places, the college and Anderson Field House and a few places, and there's 3 main parts. And one is portions. One is being ahead of the game, and that's where Six Pack Fitness comes into play.
Right,
And, of
yeah.
course, eating the right product, right, and when to eat it. But, yeah, that's the number one thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, I feel so bad. I used to use that too, but man, I'll tell you, I've been out of it for a while, and it's bringing back some memories because, all of us meatheads would leave work, come in with our 6-pack bag, our gym
Right.
bag, walking in, and
Yep.
brings back some really fun memories.
That's
so,
cool.
I wanted to talk to you again. This is not the final destination, but this is
No.
the current end result of a lot of things. And I had heard you talking
Yeah.
one day about being homegrown, and not only homegrown, but overcoming a lot of hardship. Tell me a little bit about it. You were talking about talking in front of a whole team of 100 people and talking
Yeah.
about you didn't graduate high school. It
Yeah.
was, that's pretty spectacular.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's definitely been a journey, and I got to say this: I'm proud that I ended up back in the city that I grew up in. So a lot of people don't know that about me. I actually moved here in '84. I went to Mojave High. I bought a house, raised a family here. I mean, I worked at Don Laughlin's Riverside Casino, Harrah's, Colorado.
Who hasn't?
Yeah, very true. Very true. And, the journey's been definitely a challenge. And my stepdad left when I was 13, and I was a freshman in high school at Mojave High, and I dropped out. And my mom was upset, of course. And I promised her I'd go back in about a year, but I dropped out and started washing dishes on Graveyard. If anyone remembers Jerry's Restaurant, right? And I just remember working, washing dishes and watching these cooks, and the cooks were they were like gods to me. They had their own language. They did their own thing. They had their cliques and their talent and their creativity. I'm like, wow, that's what I want to do. And a year went by. I had a used car, a '69 Mustang that I bought for $1,000. And
Couldn't buy it for $1,000
oh,
now.
Oh, hell no. Wish I still had it, too. But, credit card bills, whatever, and I never went back to school. So next thing you know, I just started working, and I spent so many years there, so many years in Phoenix, worked for Perkins for a short bit.
So I'd like to know, so obviously that's tough. Like what the motivation back then was just, I need to help the family out.
Yeah.
I need to be self-sufficient. The priorities changed. Is that what kind of drove your decision?
Exactly. It's like we didn't have a choice. I mean, my mom and even my stepdad was great teachers, and it wasn't even a thought. It's like, what are we going to do? We're going to lose a house. Where are we going to live? What do we got to do? And it's like, well, I could start making some money and pitch in, help out, do whatever I need to do. So, that's what I chose to do, and never gave it a second thought.
Yeah.
Right. So
Now, so then I want to make the connection from you're washing dishes in Bullhead to your giving speeches in front of a team of 100 for a casino group.
Oh, yeah,
I mean,
right?
what was the journey like? Was it all on the job? Did you have to go back into some formal training? What was the
Right.
process from there to there?
Well, I will tell you, You know, it's that old famous saying, the school of hard knocks, right? Because I never had enough
Tough
money.
school, I heard.
It is. It really is, man. I don't
That's
recommend
funny.
it for everybody.
Tough curriculum.
Yeah. I never had enough money to really go to school. I started working and cooking, and I moved up to job, and I always aspired to be the next position. You know, people ask me about leadership now, and it's like, it wasn't the fact of the title. I never chased the title, but I knew if I was going to make a positive effect on the situation, the employees, the morale, that I had to be in a position where I could do that and cascade it down. So I always drove for the highest position. So I became a cook, became an assistant manager, became a general manager, front of the house, back of the house. Then I went to Harrah's. I was there for 18 years. Opened up every restaurant they had over the course of years, held many positions, ice carving, did banquets. I mean, you name it, I did it, right? And then I wanted to go to school. I thought I needed that degree. And I remember our corporate chef flew down, had dinner with me, and he said, Eric, like, what are you going to learn in culinary school? Like, you're going to spend $30,000 for a piece of paper. He goes, you're already running it all. Like, what are they going to teach you? So I stepped back and I said, you're absolutely right. So I just kept going, and next thing you know, I got a promotion to Director of Food and Beverage for the Rio up in Las Vegas. We had 11 restaurants, 20 bars.
Good buffet up there.
Yeah, the seafood buffet is world renowned.
I used to stay at the Rio when I'd go up to the auction.
Oh, yeah?
And I'd go to the gym, then I'd go to the buffet. That was my routine.
That's it.
And then, I'm not a party guy, so I'd go to bed early and get up, go to the auction. And but that was like what I looked forward to, is hitting that buffet.
Oh, yeah, I know. I remember I went over to Catalina Island once for a vacation, and I was just walking the back streets, and some old gentleman was sitting out back drinking coffee. We started talking. He goes, oh, I know that buffet at the Rio. I'm like, right on.
World famous.
World famous.
World famous.
But yeah, and then I just kept on aspiring for more, and I was the director of food and beverage up there for 5 years, and then I went up to Tahoe through Caesars Entertainment to open up Hell's Kitchen, and I would end up coming back here to visit my parents and take care of them, and I would bring my six-pack fitness. There was nothing to eat. And, I've opened up 22 different concepts for so many other people. A couple for Guy Fieri. Like I said, Hell's Kitchen up in Tahoe, and all the restaurants up in Vegas at the Rio, and going to all those places. And I wanted to do something for myself. And that's another story we'll get into in a minute. But that's kind of how the evolution went. Just starting off because it was a need. I found I loved it, and I wanted to be always in a position where I can help make positive change. So that's what I always strove for.
You talk about some really interesting places, things. There had to have been some people along the way that mentored you. Did you find some good camaraderie in the kitchen? I mean, I know in the coaching world, you can go to clinics, you can do whatever. If you don't find a mentor, that's really the best teacher you're going to find. Who did you find? What were you surprised that they were, as welcoming to a kid who didn't graduate high school and said, hey, come in here, I'm going to teach you this craft? Or is that kind of a band of brothers type thing where once you're in there and you're willing to do it, they accept you, they bring you in?
Yeah, definitely. I've been very blessed to that point, because in the culinary world, I remember my old assistant exec, and he was one of my mentors. He was probably one of the hardest guys, Solomon Reyes, but he would tell me, like, you're never gonna be an executive chef unless you move around every 2 years and get that knowledge of different kitchens and different environments and the diversity, the flavor profiles. You'll never become an executive chef. Well, I had a kid, I had a family, my mom and dad lived here. It's like, well, great, what am I going to do? I'm just going to work harder. And I was lucky enough that I didn't leave every 2 years, but we had a new chef that would come in every 2 years. And we had people that would come in, and they became my mentors. And everyone taught me a little bit something different, right? I had a gentleman, John Dill, taught me ice carvings that he used to do on the ships, especially when it's 120 degrees and I'm doing ice carvings on the back dock. Pound them out in a half an hour.
You talk about things that don't belong together. Ice carvings in Bullhead City
yeah,
is definitely
right?
one of them. They do not belong together.
Definitely not. Definitely not. But then I had another mentor like Solomon Reyes. He was all very passionate about food, and he would drive that taste and flavor and that profile and the passion home. And then Todd Moreau was one of my all-time mentors, and he taught me how to be professional, financials, and food combined all at once. And I'm just thankful that I was able to learn all through them. And to your point, none of them asked about my high school or my what college did you go to? They were just like you said, the band of brothers. We just worked hard. We had some great events, huge events, long hours, and we made things happen, and we challenged each other, and we learned, and we came better as a team, you know?
So now you talk about being in some really cool places. You're talking Tahoe, Vegas, right?
Yep.
You're over there running like we'll say Harris is probably one of the premium resorts over across the river.
Yeah.
What was your driving motivation for coming back here and doing what you're doing now?
Well, it's funny how it all laid out. So I was with Caesars Entertainment for 23 years, right? And again, every position from a line cook when I first walked in to taking over a position they were offering me as a vice president of food and beverage for 3 casinos in Tahoe. And then the world fell apart, right? COVID. I came back to Vegas, and Monday morning, I get this phone call from HR director of this new company that bought out Caesars Entertainment, and they're like, is this Eric Fox? I'm like, yep. They're like, yeah, this is such and such from this new company. Today's your last day. We want to thank you very much. 23 years, right?
Boy, you gotta love corporate stuff, huh?
Yeah, and I was like, wow, great. Do I get a gold watch? Like, you got
the old pat on the back right
it.
out the door. All right.
Great job. Thank you for all your blood, sweat, and tears, right? And I'm sitting there, and 20 minutes later, seriously, 20 minutes later, I get this phone call from Anita Bray. And I'm sure everyone knows Anita Bray.
Great people, yep.
Yep, we worked together for many, many years, and she called me and said, hey, there's an opportunity here, the old Firehouse Coffee Roastery. John Hassett, right, at that time owned it, is looking to get out and wants to know if you're interested. And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, let me come check it out. I drove down the next day, and I was like, you know what? Again, I've opened up 22 different concepts for other people, and not to mention managing other people's stuff. And I'm like, you know what? I want to do something for myself. Plus, I'm the only child here with my mom and dad. And my dad lived in Legacy, and a shout out to Legacy for sure. And my mom, she lived by herself. She's a tough cookie. And I wanted to come back and spend time with them, take care of them, and do something for myself. So that's kind of how, ProFit Kitchen came about. Yeah.
And you picked a great location. I don't know if that was John being super smart or just dumb luck, but you got ProFit Kitchen, gym.
I know, right? And I love how you look at it, because some people are like, oh man, you're never going to succeed. You're off the highway. I'm like, trust me. Like, we're a different breed because of what we offer, and sandwiching ourselves between all those gyms just makes sense.
Yeah, I always laugh. I live in Fort Mojave, and from there, you got to go some direction. But if you're in Bullhead, all those gyms are within a mile of each other.
I know, right?
And I always
it's perfect.
I guess you want to be in a population base and all that other stuff. But so when you talk about putting concepts together, what was the? Did you start with a blank slate, or did you always have ProFit somewhere in your head?
No, and people think I did, right? I remember, for some reason I've always wanted to be in the kitchens. I remember I was born in Ohio, and I remember me and my mom moved to Vegas when I was 7, and I remember being in Ohio. I had to be 5 or 6, and I built a restaurant out of popsicle sticks, right? I don't know. And she's
I was watching too much G.I. Joe. I was building army forts and
right. And she asked me what it was, and I said, "Oh, it's a restaurant." And she goes, "Oh, great. Where is it at?" I'm like, "Oh, it's going to be in Las Vegas." And she's all, "Wow, that's pretty cool, right?" But no, Profit Kitchen wasn't even a glimmer in my eye or anything like that. We actually, when this happened, me and my son Michael, we went to Boulder City, sitting at Fox's Barbecue, and we started kicking around concept names and like, what do we want to do? And I knew I wanted to be different. I knew, like, I opened up 3 Mexican restaurants and Italian restaurants and all this stuff, and the city's saturated with a lot of that.
no shortage of taco shops.
Right? Thank God, man. I love tacos. But I wanted to do something that I have true passion for. And it's funny because if you look at some of my past pictures, their plate presentations are from my own kitchen at my house before Profit came about. So I'm doing this food already for myself. And I'm like, I want to do this. And I want to be everything to everybody as much as I can. So in Vegas, there's 3 main restaurants up there that I would favor, and one did meal preps. That's all they did. The other 2, one would do some meal preps, but they did healthy food. The other one did healthy food. Some sold protein, some didn't. And I took a collection of what I love to eat and cook, and took all those 3 and just made the whole thing come together.
My favorite meal at your place is the same one at my favorite meal when I was into the world up there. Was the Protein House had a giant bison burger.
Oh my gosh, right?
And so everybody's like, what do you get when you go to Profit? Because they know I'm not a healthy eater.
Yeah.
And I'm like, they got a massive burger, and it is fantastic.
You know what? I appreciate that, and it's so funny because there's such a misconception out there, and I talk a lot about that. We're actually changing our marketing strategy to get rid of the word healthy and just go to fresh, because people are like, oh no, I don't eat tofu and bean sprouts. And I'm like,
neither do most other people in fitness, so
exactly,
congratulations.
right?
Yes.
We have a keto bacon cheeseburger wrap. It's a bacon cheeseburger that we build inside a 14-inch mozzarella tortilla. What is so healthy about that, except it's tons of protein?
You get to say
and
keto.
Fat. That's it.
Yeah.
So we just kind of, people are amazed when I tell them the true story that I sat there at my son's condo and wrote this whole menu in 1 week. In 1 week, I wrote it down, all the drinks, the whole 9 yards. Of course, organically it changed throughout based on great customer feedback, but I wrote the menu in 1 week because I knew what I wanted to do.
And, especially when, with your experience and then having a healthy focus on it, you're going to have your healthy rices, you're going to have your, certain things that are staples of all those. And then you're really probably just, making them your own, right, at that point?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we're doing it. And, people go, well, why are you healthy, right? You're showing a picture of our poke bowl right now. And here's a perfect example of why we're healthy. I don't know if anyone's familiar with furikake. Furikake is a Japanese dried condiment. We put it in there, but when you order it anywhere, it has salt and sugar and all that. We make it from scratch, so there is no salt or sugar, right? So, the healthy part of this is that we source food from great companies. We bring our ground meat in, bison and Angus, make our own patties. We cut our own fish. Our chicken comes from a farm that's, no GMOs, no hormones, no nothing. That's why we're just healthy or fresh.
Well, and I think, unfortunately, maybe the good thing that came out of COVID is that you ended up here. But, COVID put a real focus on, should have, at least for most people, your health. And at least, as unhealthy an eater as I am, I always make sure I get my protein. I try to eat better foods versus bad foods. When I'm eating junk, I eat junk. There's no rules.
Right.
Like, if I'm getting cookies, I'm eating the best damn cookies I can find.
Right.
But, steaks from good quality sources, things like that. And I don't think people realize not all meats are created equal.
No.
Not all vegetables are created equal, and it's nice to know when you know where it's coming from.
Yeah,
it's a huge difference maker. So, and that is actually, and if you have any thoughts on this, I'd love to hear it. That is actually like a real next layer level of health. Is you may lose fat or look healthy, but if you're not putting quality in your body, there will be some accumulated effects of
Oh, yeah.
unhealthy foods, hormones, things like that going into your body.
Yep.
Don't get me started on plastics. The government's wrong
Right.
podcast. Sorry, wrong podcast. So. But I mean, I'm sure that is a factor when you look into where you're getting your foods
It
and
is.
things like that. So
Yeah, and just really quick to your point about that, I speak about that because I remember growing up and my grandma, she would cook all the time out at the farm, and she had this Folgers coffee can on the stove that sat there all day with grease dripping on. But you know what? She made everything from scratch, gravies and all this stuff. We never had any issues, right?
No.
It's only when we started adding modified organisms to grow things. I talk to people about when you're driving and you see that cows and they have the tags in their ear and they're like, oh, yeah, they mark them. I'm like, no, believe it or not, that's a time-released part of hormones, and to get them bigger, right? They're steroids. To get them bigger because the bigger they are, the more they slaughter, the more money they get. You're
Absolutely.
digesting that. You're digesting that. Can you imagine what that's doing to you?
well, then you get into what they're feeding them, which is also modified.
Exactly.
And I was
Right.
listening to a great podcast the other day, and he talked about how they modified the pesticides. They used to walk the fields and kill the weeds one by one.
Right?
Well, then they found out they could just blanket it all over everything what we're eating. Well, that wasn't the norm.
Right.
And then they found out, oh, well, shoot, we can just modify the food a little bit. So they modified the genes of the food.
Yep.
So that then they could grow more food, but with more pesticides, so they got more yield.
Yeah.
And we believe that didn't creep into our food at all.
Oh, yeah. Exactly. And
And they feed the cows the corn, and then it just
Right.
goes on and on.
And then they wonder, like in today in the society, I mean, diabetes is a huge thing. 20 years ago, you wouldn't see anyone with diabetes 2 that was under the age of 20. Now the youngest reported case is 2 years old.
Yeah.
Right? Obesity is the #1 issue in Mojave County right now between the ages of 12 and 18. Yeah.
So again, I'm a parent, coach. You go out and look. My son's a big kid. He's, I'm 270. He's 285. He's a big kid. But he moved. He plays football. He plays offensive line.
Right.
He works out 4 or 5 days a week. He's
That's good.
quite the savage for a 16-year-old house.
Right?
But we have kids come out to play football, and they can't move.
Yeah.
I mean, and then you see them leave, and the first thing they do, they get handed a soda out of the car, and you're thinking, my dear God, what are we
Right?
doing to these kids?
I know.
So
I remember making a comment, and it was pretty straightforward, and I got a mixed reaction, and it was shocking. It's like, you know what? How many parents out there say, you know what? I'd die for my kid, right? I would say everyone out there in the world would raise their hands. Let me challenge you this: how many of you would eat healthy for your kids? Because that's where it all starts.
yeah, that's a whole we'd slay a dragon for you, but I'm not going to
Right?
clean the cave.
Exactly. Perfect example. It's like, why don't we start there?
Yeah. No,
Right.
I agree 100%, and I'm very fortunate. My ex is actually a much healthier eater than I am.
Right.
So my kids get a little better over there, and we get a little bit of the fun foods out of
There
my
you go.
house.
There you go. I
So,
love
but I'm
it.
very, very appreciative, and
Yeah.
the key thing for me is that we're conscious of it. We always try to be active, and like I said, it's so weird to see that you want to drink a soda, no way bats an eye.
Yeah.
You say I only drink water, and they think you're insane.
You're right. Yeah.
I get so much crap from people, and I'm like, I just get a water. You go to a bar or whatever.
Yep. Same.
Go to a chamber thing or whatever, and I'm like, I just get a water, and everybody thinks I'm crazy.
Right.
But
That's it. That's it.
It's a whole nother story. So,
Yeah. I know, right?
Absolutely.
So one of the things I wanted to bring up, because a few people, one of them being you, is the reason one of the main reasons that you invited me on the show is, going back to that story. So I've never been a person to kind of talk about myself. I just, I've always just done my work, done my job, done what I needed to do, took care of my family and friends and so forth. But the extension of ProFit Kitchen, being a local boy, has given us the opportunity to definitely help out the community. The 11th of every month, we donate 11%. Here's one of them to Classic Air Medical, to local first responders. So if you're not doing anything on the 11th of every month, please come visit us, because some of your sales is going to a local first responders. But one of the things is when I came here to take over start ProFit Kitchen, I submitted a 5-year plan. Now, keep in mind, I'm doing budgets for Caesars Entertainment that the budgets every year were like $75 million, right? So I'm very familiar with doing budgets.
Yeah, you find a lot of room in that budget.
Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah, so I put together a 5-year plan and submitted it to 6 different banks. And they all came back to me, and they're like, wow, this is amazing. We've never seen anything so detailed, da-da-da-da-da. And they all said no. And I figured at least one would say, sure, right? But they said no.
Should have got on Shark Tank, maybe.
You know what? You're not the first person that said that, right?
Yeah. One of them would have seen it. Yep.
Yeah, definitely. So the reasoning, and I'm like, well, how come? What's going on? And they're like, so you're going to open an unproven concept in Bullhead City in the middle of COVID when 150,000 restaurants are closing? And I was like, yep, I am. And they're like, yeah, no, we it's too much of a risk. Well, I already signed the lease. Right?
Oh, no.
That's commitment right there.
Exactly. It's funny because I tell people, it's like, yeah, I already bought the wedding ring. Like, I'm committed now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Can't really back out. So, 23 years of working with Caesars Entertainment and other places and so forth. I had my 401k and life savings. So I put every penny into this. And, some people, we talk about it like we were nominated for Entrepreneur of the Year, right? And it was just an honor to be nominated. And we lost out. And one of the things is, like, I remember I only put down a couple things on the
We're
audition.
terrible at those award things, too. You're like, it's really awkward to just
right?
spell out and brag out all your
Yeah.
stuff. We got nominated for one of those, and it was like, we're happy to be a part of the community.
That's
we
it.
do the best we can. Rah,
Rah,
like
rah.
that was it. And,
4 lines. 4
yeah.
lines. That was it.
Should have maybe bragged a little more.
Right. And that's
Little
what
one.
people were telling me. And that's where the story came about, is like, I don't think anyone ever realized, like, I used my whole 401k, my whole life savings. So this was September 2020 that we got the property. March 8th, we opened. And when we opened the doors, I had $5.37 left in my bank account.
Wow.
After my whole 401k, life savings, like, if you're not
After
all in,
20 years of hustling, working, saving.
everything,
Yeah.
$5.37, so, yeah, all in.
So what were you thinking? So you get the message from the bank, right? You expect one of them to pick you up, right?
Right.
Was there any doubt?
No, there's no doubt about ProFit Kitchen at all. The foundation, we're bringing hospitality back, the quality, the layout. I mean, there's no question about this, and I just wanted to move forward because I knew this is what the next evolution would be, and this restaurant would catch on fire.
So something you always hear from entrepreneurs, I don't know if you listen to a lot of podcasts. There's a great one, Valuetainment podcast, Pat David. Great podcast. All
Right.
entrepreneurs, great guys, all business minded. They're a little political, but I don't mind that.
Right,
So
right.
It's only because they agree with my politics. So. But were there naysayers? Were people telling you, oh, this is a mistake, get out,
Oh, yeah.
go back to the restaurants,
Oh, yeah.
go get a job?
Yep. Yeah, I had a lot of people, and it's funny. Jeff just showed a picture of my son and my amazing manager. She's the one that really takes care of the business for me, Tanya. But, I'm sorry, that's me and her. But my son, even
Man, you're pulling
He's
it off.
looking-
You mistake yourself for
Yeah.
your
Right,
kid.
I know.
Yeah, that
You're
gym
looking
treating
good,
good, boy. Woo!
I got to take my glasses off more often. But even my son's a butcher by trade, and even the people he was telling them, they're like, yeah, it won't last 6 months. It won't last 6 months. One of my best friends in Phoenix was like, Eric, man, I was so scared for you. I didn't want to tell you, but I was like, why are you doing this? And I had a choice. I could have went right back to another corporate job and done that and waited for that Monday phone call again. Or, some people ask me, because at first I'm working 90 hours a week. 90 hours a week opening up your own business. It's not easy. A lot of sleepless nights, payroll, this, that, especially when you don't have a bank financing you, right?
Yeah.
And, but you know what? I'm semi-retired. I get to cook. I get to greet my guests, talk to the people, and I go right out the corner and I go to Bullhead Fitness and I work out. I mean,
What's better?
right? I mean, that's all we want. Eat
Yeah.
and go to the gym.
Yeah.
That's so funny because that's really all I want most of the time.
I'm telling you, it's like semi-retirement, and it's great.
You guys should
Yeah.
hang out more.
I
Yeah.
know, right?
Well, I've seen him in the gym a few times,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
and I just sit there and go, "That's a good gig,
Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go,
good
man.
gig." But you earned it, man. It's it's such a good story, and obviously it's not a traditional path. I mean, I think that goes without
No.
saying. And I don't know if you. I think you're like probably a lot of people who went through a hard time. I don't know that you would change it. I don't know that you could change it and be you. But what a story of getting out of school, doing what you had to do, finding a passion, and then chasing it for the next 30 years.
Right.
I mean, that's, and so, yeah, if somebody gets to go, cook some food up, shake some hands, and go lift some weights, it's, you're the guy who should be doing it.
There you go, man. Well, I appreciate it. And I'll tell you this, though. I've learned many, many years that I am nothing without my team, without my employees. Fox, my son, he's the one that, like, let's do this. And the first person I called was Tanya, like, will you be my manager? And my team, my hourly employees, my cooks, my phenomenal baristas, it doesn't matter what I do, who I cook for, what restaurant I open, without them, this wouldn't be reality.
Yeah,
So,
and I'll tell you, they treat you great when you go in there. I don't go in there as much as I should. I eat a little too much French toast, not enough protein burgers.
we got protein French toast, by the way.
And I've had it. It's good.
Yeah.
There you go.
But I'll tell you, they treat you great. I mean, it's they're nice to you. They remember you.
Yep.
They don't give you a hard time for being a little fluffy. You know what I'm saying? So.
Yeah.
But it's really a great experience. And while I'm not trying to kick you out of here, I'll sit here and talk all day. So if you don't have anything better to do,
right.
But I wanted to ask you about your leadership style. More often than not, most places lack leadership.
They do.
And no formal leadership training other than being around, being observant, wanting it. I mean, that's a big thing people don't understand. Everybody thinks they want to lead. Leading is hard.
Leading is hard.
Yeah, it's
It is.
hard. It's
I've talked to a
risky.
couple
It's-
entrepreneurs out of it
Yeah,
recently.
I'm sure.
Because I just knew they weren't ready for it. Not just the leadership, but financially and all that. And I'm like, please don't do this, and here's why. When you get here, let's do it. But here, don't, because
You've been through it.
I've been through it, man.
Yeah.
It's very hard. Yeah. So where did you? Was that just observed and you learned? Was it because, unfortunately, some of us experience bad leadership, and so we learn what we don't want? Like we've all had that guy, and you go, "Well,
boy.
whatever I do when I get that chance, it's not going to be that."
Exactly.
So where did you kind of find your stride in leadership?
You know what? That's a great question, and I'm going to tell you. So it's just observations, and to your point, like if you get on LinkedIn and check out my profile, I thank all the mentors, good and bad, because the bad ones taught me just as much as the good ones. And I've kind of taken a little piece out of every management, hourly employees as well, and go, wow, that's great. I like how they talk to them. I like this. I like that. And, talking to the people at the Rio, every Tuesday I would talk to them. We had a program out there called Legendary Leadership Essentials. And these are like the executives, directors, vice presidents. One of the things I always told them is, as leaders, we're bad at two things. One, we're bad at coaching, because we never we beat around the bush. We're never straightforward in a professional manner. We just beat around the bush
Typically very reactive.
and hope they get it, right?
True.
So we have no managerial courage, right? That's one of the things. The other thing is we forget where we come from. For
Yeah,
example,
very much.
What was your first job?
My first job was Boys and Girls Club when I think I drove there illegally at 15.
Nice,
Yeah.
right? I love that.
Don't
Yeah.
tell no one.
Don't
Yeah.
tell no one, right?
I think
Cut that out.
I think I told my mom that my sister took me and she had a driver's license and I had a permit, and I'm pretty
Right.
sure I drove there illegally at 15.
Nice.
Right,
Dedicated.
guys. Yeah. That was my first job. And I will tell you that the Boys and Girls Club had some very intentional leadership training. And so I got exposed to it very early.
Nice.
But yeah, so that was my first job.
I love that. And that's one of the things I would bring up, because as leaders, as we move forward in our career, we forget that. We forget where we came from. We forget what it's like to be living paycheck to paycheck, what it was like to have to take the bus and stuff like that. So when you're talking to people, you forget to come down to whatever level and talk. Just
Yeah.
talk, right? So
You're speaking my language. I think I say this once a
Yeah.
week. Arganda listens to me in the office rant about we're too busy to talk to our people, like,
exactly.
what else is
Right?
more important than talking to your people?
Yeah, so the one thing I always remember is, I was a pot washer on Graveyard, and I never forget where I came from. And I don't care if I'm the chef, the owner, the CEO, I'm an employee first. I'm still an employee. No one's better than me. And without my team, I'm nothing. So I always keep that in mind. But I've learned from every mentor throughout. Steve Ellis, he's the general manager of the Rio, and he was a second grade teacher. So the way he spoke and handled the whole team of the Rio was just outstanding. And I aspire to be like him.
It's kind of alarming that second grade is kind of our level, huh?
Yeah, I know. Right? Yeah, well, that's okay. I never got that far in school, so.
I never did that well in school, so I appreciate a simple message.
There you go.
A simple message.
I
So,
agree.
Obviously, you're pro fit, you run around, you're opening new places, you're doing a lot of things.
Yep.
But you did say that you do go and speak, and you do go sometimes a little over the clock on speaking. But is that
Yep.
something that you set out to do? Have people just asked you to do it, or is that a service that you offer? If somebody wants to find you and talk to their team, what is that part of your gig?
So that part of the gig is honestly free. That it's just a passion of mine. Like you, I mean, you start talking about food, beverage, teams, and diversity. I'll talk for hours. Jeff Viles knows that very well. And
Don't put him on the clock, Jeff.
yeah, exactly. Come on, Jeff. Man,
Not me.
Once you get on a roll, you can't cut us off. All right, you got to let us go.
That's it. I think I was 3 minutes over last time. But,
That's okay.
and it's so funny because I always thought I was a bad speaker. When I started speaking at the Rio, they're like, "Wow, you're amazing at this. Da 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 da. You ought to do this more often." I'm like, "Really?" I'm like, "Okay." And then when I got here, organically, ProFit Kitchen has definitely evolved, right? I just wanted to be a good, healthy restaurant, and over the course of time, people started coming in because they have autoimmune diseases, celiac disease, all these different, things, allergens. But then people started noticing it, like doctors and so forth. So they're like, "Hey,
It has its own culture.
it does."
It has its own culture. I mean, you can see it. You can see it in the people that frequent it. They're typically big on self-improvement. They're
Yep.
self-aware. They're very conscious of their habits.
Yeah.
You don't accidentally stroll into ProFit.
No, you're there for a reason, and
You
that
might
reason.
accidentally stroll into Taco Bell, but you're not going to accidentally stroll into ProFit.
So true,
You
man.
went there for a reason.
Yeah.
And it creates a nice culture of like-minded people. And every time we go, I think I've been up there probably, I don't know, a handful of times where Toby Cotter wants to go
Yep.
eat there.
Yep.
And he gets something super healthy and beautiful and bright colors, and I get my burger, and but then as you sit there, a lot of professionals, a lot of gym people, a lot of
Yeah.
all very much gosh, I don't want to say this in such a bad way, but you go to other places, it's depressing to sit around there and see who comes in and out of some of these places. I mean, I don't know how to say that any
Right.
but you sit there and you go, "Oh, there's a rough crowd in here. Like,
Yeah.
what are we doing?" So
Yeah. Why am I here?
Right. Yeah. Am I that guy?
Yeah, exactly.
Am I in the right place?
Right?
Yeah. So, but you definitely
Yeah.
create a unique culture. It's very, and
that's
I'll tell
what
you,
I
it's
love.
good. It's good to have a little subculture within our town that is, I'm big on self-improvement. Like I get weird, people think I'm being a big jerk or sarcastic, but I really admire people who are on a self-improvement.
Yeah.
And that's you see a lot of that in the gym. Like I'll see someone in the gym, and I immediately think, that's one of my people.
Right.
I don't know you.
Exactly.
But I feel like you're on some
We're
form
connected.
you're on some form of self-improvement.
Right.
And I really value that. I respect it. And so I feel like it's a lot of the same thing when you come into your place.
Yeah.
You're making a conscious choice to put something better in your body.
And you know what is so cool? And I was thinking about this morning. It's like, having a kid, and then when that personality comes out,
that you can't control.
you can't control.
It's got a life of its own.
But you start seeing it evolve, and that's how Profit, like organically, it just came
very
into
much
this
so.
thing. And to your point about talking, like people started noticing and asking, "Hey, can you come and talk about this? Can you come talk about that?" And then they find out my background. They're like, I talked at the Bullhead Laughlin Airport about diversity and inclusion, because the team I had up at the Rio, we had 462 employees. Like, I managed huge teams. I spoke at, we did our second annual health fair at the college, took over the whole college, partnered with Dr. Zeri and the hospitals and all that. We talked there. I talked at Anderson Fieldhouse for the Arizona gang authorities about health and nutrition. So it's just what I love to do. So, yeah, if anyone wants to come in and talk, anyone wants to come in and talk and sit down and say, here's my challenge, here's what I'm doing, I'll be more than happy to sit down with you and kind of get you on a plan, talk about fasting, eating, calories, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean,
What's really interesting is so many very good intentioned people and even highly proficient people still need some type of leadership or direction. Mm-hmm. And once you give it to them, they run with it.
Oh, yeah.
And so if you feel like you're on that cusp and you think, man, come talk to the man, see what he can do for you. You'll be amazed what a little bit of guidance will do for you.
Yeah,
So
definitely. And you can never get to that place where I've asked people to come into my restaurant here and say, walk around, look around. If you got any feedback, like, I want to know it. I don't care how many restaurants I open. There's always something. You could always learn. So just be open.
So I've got to ask you a silly question now.
Uh-oh.
Obviously, you cook. You have your own restaurant. Do you go out to eat sometimes?
Yes, I do.
Where do you go?
Oh, boy.
Put me
I
on
know
the
you.
spot.
I know you said you like some taco shops. I mean,
Not Taco Bell, I can tell you.
No.
I'm always just curious. Like, obviously you make great food.
Yep.
You can make whatever you want if you want.
Yep.
But do you like sometimes just going out, or maybe do you like to go do a little spy work and kind of see what other people are doing? Where do you go when you want to go out to get
Yeah.
away?
Well, I can tell you this, and nothing against any area or any properties or anything like that. I usually go out of town. I like visiting Havasu, plus I'm looking at properties up there. I like to spy. I like to go to places, of course, up in Kingman. But I definitely favor going to Vegas and things like that because the diversity of the food. You can't get dim sum down here. You can't get a lot of things. Good Mediterranean food, things like that, baklava, things.
My
that,
brother lived in Vegas for a few years,
Oh,
and he
my-
loved all the Greek places.
Oh,
and I'd be
I-
like, dude, can we go to Five Guys already?
Right. I've done Five Guys. I like. Yeah. Yep.
And you mentioned you're from Ohio, huh?
Yeah, Akron, Ohio. I was born and raised there, and I got family there, and it's so cool because I got a couple of my managers that used to work for me. They're both from Akron, and they're
Pretty
both
good basketball
down there.
player from Akron.
Yeah.
That's LeBron James
Oh,
guy.
there you go. Right. Yeah.
So I was born in Sharon, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
So that's probably 30 minutes east of Akron.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
They're maybe 40 minutes east. So.
That's pretty close.
And my dad worked in a steel mill out there.
Right.
Closed for like the 30th time in my life. By the time we moved when I was 11, and went to Vegas and went, it's a little too big for us little steel town people, and ended up in Bullhead City.
Right.
and so it's just kind of funny to hear that you're from down the road.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, so-
That was same thing. We lived in Vegas and got in a little too much trouble as a kid. Moved to Sacramento, same thing, and then we moved to Bullhead. Like I said, when I was 13, I was
Yeah.
like, wow. Like,
I could not imagine had
Nope.
we been in Vegas, the culture, because I had a culture shock moving here from Pennsylvania, rural Pennsylvania, Steel Town. We lived out in the country. It was like we were 10 years behind,
right?
and come out here, and it was culture shock for me. And if we'd have been in Vegas, I probably would have got gobbled up. You know,
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if I would have.
So I was 7 years old. We moved from this little town in Port, Ohio. Right, we had the bar, which was also the church on Sunday, the gas station.
That's funny.
Right, 3 blocks and a school. That was it. Right, we moved from there to North Las Vegas when I
Wow.
was 7.
Yeah.
So I
buddy.
learned to run. I learned to.
Yeah.
it was a culture shock for
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely. And while I got you here on the spot asking awkward questions.
Yeah, yeah.
So back east, I go visit. I don't know what it is. They always say it's the water. Is there any truth that the water has an impact on the quality of the food? So you go back and you're like, man, this pizza's so good. This pasta's so good. This whatever's so good. And they're always like, oh, it's in the water. Is that just them not telling you their secret, or is there some truth to that?
Well, one, I'm going to tell you, it's probably they're not going to tell you their secret, but yes,
Probably 2 tons of sugar in that pizza.
Oops. Yeah, exactly. So, but there is truth behind that, because when I was at Harrah's, we had a bakery there, and we actually were we wanted to do our own bread, but we're at sea level, all this stuff. I mean, the water really affected all of our starters and things like that. So we just scrapped it. It was easier to just get it brought in. So the water and everything does have an effect.
Yeah.
It really does, but a lot of people say that just
Yeah.
I don't want to tell
That's
you
a
my secret, right? It's a special sauce. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. But, you talk about what restaurants you like and things like that.
Yeah.
I love the little family-owned East Coast Italian places.
Oh, yeah.
So I go back
my
to
gosh.
Pittsburgh, or even, you don't think of Pittsburgh or even like Eastern Ohio, but they have such good food.
They do.
And it's probably where everybody's a little.
Right? I know.
But and I love going back to find those little like random family-owned places
Yep.
back there, and those are they always have the best pizza, they have the best pastas, and
Yeah.
so I'm a little.
It is. I love the little hole in the walls. I'm not a big, following, corporate America restaurants and things like that, chain restaurants.
You might as well not even put a name on most of them because they're all the same.
They're all the same.
Yeah.
I mean, whether it's this plate or that plate, it's still the same. But like I was just back there this last weekend, and we went downtown Akron, and everything's closed. It was Sunday, and we found this restaurant, and it was closed, but they were doing outside patio upstairs, this little brick area, right? But they had great IPAs and great. We actually got a specialty grilled cheese, and the side was the little fish crackers and stuff.
Yes.
It was just so relaxing and
You'd
so
love
cool.
downtown Pittsburgh because you'll go and you have some pizza place that's been there for 100 years.
Right.
And right next to it, so Pittsburgh's actually a very unique, diverse place. Used to be just steel mills,
Gotcha.
and so there's a mass exodus. Everybody left. Well, a lot of immigrants filled those voids. So you have great, authentic Greek food, Indian food. I mean, everything you can imagine on one street. And so you
Right.
just go right through that area and check all that stuff. So I
Yep.
go by all of them and I go to the pizza place.
Right? Yeah, they
Yeah.
got some great pizza places for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I really enjoy talking with you.
Yeah, me too.
And we look forward to kind of following and seeing what you got going on. You said you got 20 is the bogey.
20 right now is, and we're just going to keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
Yep.
exciting, man.
Yeah.
Well, real quick,
Pleasure.
before you go,
Appreciate it.
Eric,
Yes.
you have a new shirt that came out. I kind of want to plug it a little bit.
Uh-oh.
So,
You got a
explain it.
picture?
Yeah, I do. Right here.
Yeah,
Talk about it.
fantastic. So that's a couple of my workout gym rats with me there, Tiny and Melody, and they are kind of our models. But One that she's wearing says "Keep calm" and "Fudakaki on." All right, I explained the Fudakaki a little bit ago, but then we wanted to have a little bit fun, so he's wearing a shirt. It has a couple chickpeas on there, getting crazy, and it says "Chickpeas Gone Wild." All right, so
Yeah.
just a little bit fun,
Yeah,
right?
That's why I wanted to show it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're good folks. I see them in the gym a lot too, and
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how old he is now, but I remember when he was a kid, and that kid is dedicated. He's done a bunch of shows.
Yep, yeah.
He's
And they're just great, down-to-earth people. Always friendly, always nice. They come in all the time. So
yeah,
big
super chill.
supporters.
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely. So
Yep.
pick
But,
some good ones, man.
Yeah, I try to, man. I think collectively we stay together that way. So
When you spend a lot of time with people, it's very important that you spend time with the right people. So
I agree.
you got a great team. You got a great
Amazing.
spot.
Thank you, team. I appreciate you and Tanya and Fox and all the support. My mom and dad, thank you for setting the foundation.
Yeah, I feel like I need to thank your mom and dad so that you had a reason to come back.
Right? I know.
The town appreciates you guys. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming
Definitely.
on, Eric. We
Thanks, Jeff.
appreciate you.
Thank you.
Cool, bro.
Okay,
Appreciate
man.
it.
Take care.